This is Karen Rainford. I'm here to speak with you about the Project Management Jumpstart book, which we're using for the textbook for MG408 at St. Mary's University. The reason that we selected this textbook is because it's extremely practical. It's also a great reference as you move forward in your career. The question most people ask is, what should I study? A good place to start is to really understand in the table of contents what is there. Be able to find key information quickly, because when you get to a midterm or a final exam, one of the most important things is to be able to figure out where that information is. Chapter 1. Let's talk a little bit about it. On page 1, there's a little list on the side that says in this chapter, and that lists the key concepts for this chapter. Those are what I would consider the most important concepts for you to understand. Please also notice that important terms are defined in the margins of the book, and that's the quickest way to come up with a definition for any particular key terminology. At the end of the chapter, there's a set of review questions, and there are answers to those review questions at the end of the book. In Chapter 1, we start out by defining the difference between operations and a project. If you look at Table 1-1 or 1.1, there is a good comparison of projects which have a definite beginning and end, are temporary in nature, and produce a unique project, a unique product, service, or result. Think about some examples of projects. Next, we talk about where we're going. When we do projects, the thing is that we haven't done this particular project before. Every month, we don't put together a project the way every month we put together, for example, our monthly reporting. So we have to plan ahead to know where we're going. We have to think about how to start the project with the end in mind. And the next piece is a set of project documents. We will not be using the documents out of the book, but they are very similar, the ones that we'll be using for our team projects as we work through this course. When we do projects, we do them usually within existing organizations. And existing organizations have a pre-existing org chart. People have roles, they have jobs, they report to specific people, and those organizations make a big difference in how projects work within the organization. Because we can't change whether an organization is functionally organized, projectized, or matrix organized. There are many advantages and disadvantages to the project manager and to the project team for working in that type of organization. Next, we go into project management practices. And in order, any project, anything that has a beginning and an end could benefit from using project practices. The main point is that before we go ahead and start working on the project, we plan it. Then we do what we plan to do, and we check to see, are we on track? Are we not on track? That's what we call controlling the project. There are many benefits to planning and controlling that come out as you do projects. And the tools for planning have been the same throughout the centuries, but project management software is something that people are familiar with today. There's very good scheduling software. There are many different kinds of project software out there that help to kind of correlate and bring together all the pieces. Another part of a tool that we use in project management is project templates. Those are documents that we can just kind of fill in the blanks so that we remember to do everything we need to do for planning or everything we need to do for change control, for example. Projects always happen in a particular order. We initiate, someone gets a great idea and they said, yes, let's go ahead and do this project. That's initiating. The next part is creating a plan. After the plan is approved, we move into the executing phase where the work of where you actually do what the plan says you're going to do, and then you check to see whether or not you are on the right schedule, whether you're producing what you thought you were going to produce according to the plan. And then finally closing, where we close out the budgets for the project, we stop working on it, and we say we're done. There are several key project concepts that you should be aware of. Stakeholders are all the people who have an interest in or an impact on the project. We used to talk about the triple constraint: scope, schedule, and budget, or time, cost, and scope. But we've since realized that there are too many things that limit or influence the way that we need to do projects. So scope, which is what's included in the project and what's not included. Schedule, which is when things will happen in the project. Budget, which is how much will we spend in terms of both cost, financial cost, and in terms of how many hours we'll actually spend of person time working on the projects. The quality, how we'll know when we've produced what we thought we were going to produce at the level of quality we wanted, and whether or not the customer is satisfied with it. That's the end of Chapter 1. There's a brief review of the certifications, PMP or CAPM certification, and I encourage you to ask your instructor about that because we are very engaged in PMI Minnesota. Also, review the terminology. Go through the review questions. It helps if you try to answer the questions without looking at the answers, and then go back and look at the answers. That's the end of Chapter 1. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in Chapter 2.